Now, so where we're at right now in the case is that after appealing to the Ninth Circuit while I was in custody, they granted me bail, but it took them about 31 days, and that was the panel that granted me bail. So finally I was released and able to talk to people like you. And then a week later, a new motions panel had heard the case and ruled against me. So I've been struck down by the district court and now the first panel of the Ninth Circuit. So the only appeal left would be either an en banc, which means half the court would hear the case, or a writ of certiorari to the Supreme Court. Basically, everything shouldn't be finalized in the Ninth Circuit for 45 days. However, the U.S. Attorney recently made a motion to revoke my bail. I don't understand why he would make a motion to revoke my bail. There's a system for the courts to follow, and yet here we are having to turn in a reason why they shouldn't revoke bail. I don't know why they should revoke bail in the first place. I haven't been accused of committing a crime. I'm not a flight risk. I work for the state of California at the community college. Like, the idea of revoking my bail seems a little puzzling to me. I can't say I expected to go to prison. However, I knew that going to prison was always a possibility. I prepared to go to prison, and I spent a lot of time reading about, the federal system, the penal system, and what I was going to be getting myself into should that unfortunate event arise. And when it did happen, it really wasn't all that difficult to deal with, given the fact that I was quite prepared and was in one of the better facilities in the federal system. Jail was and wasn't what I expected. I mean, half of my expectations were based on television shows like Oz, and so I was expecting this full-on war zone. But then at the same time, I had done some research and thought about the fact that the people in the federal system are probably not, for the most part, violent individuals. Rape, murder, all of those scary crimes are pretty much in the state system. So I knew that I was going to be around people that were accused of drug-related crimes, illegal immigrants, white-collar criminals, the sorts of things that don't really scare me all that much. And my expectations there came true. It was really easy to talk to all the guys there, very friendly. When I got there, I came after dinner, and right away some guy was like, "You hungry? I got some food that you can eat." And so there was a lot of solidarity that I didn't expect to find in prison. The hardest thing is probably one of two things about being in jail. For one, the air is like a jet plane. That recycled, stale air, and you're stuck in there. Basically 23 hours a day, except for Saturday and Sunday when you don't get to go out at all. So I only got an hour of fresh air Monday through Friday, and that was really frustrating. The other thing that was especially difficult was the fact that when you want to hear that song, you want to pull it up on your computer and listen to it, you can't. You can't put on your CD. At first I got there and I had no music at all, and then I picked up an AM/FM radio from commissary, and AM/FM radio is just not the way to hear music. I learned a lot through this whole experience. I couldn't even sit down and tell you everything that I've learned. One of the most eye-opening things was how the prison system works. Getting first-hand experience on it, I kind of saw myself as like a forced embedded journalist inside the prison system. This is my first assignment. Now I gotta deal with the prison system. And so I was really kind of able to make the most of it by being in there. Probably the most eye-opening thing to me was all the illegal immigrants that were there. These are simply undocumented laborers. They're not accused of any crime other than being here, and they're facing up to 20 years in jail and up to a $10,000 restitution. So these guys, they get convicted, then they make them work in the prison system for 12 cents an hour. Then they take the money that they make and call it restitution. Once they're done with prison, they get deported and sent back to Mexico. So basically, it's a new wave of slavery that's probably almost as repulsive as what we encountered when this country was established. And that's a very frightening thing. I learned how to interact with people that I don't normally interact with. I learned a lot about the justice system and past case law and how the legal system works that I didn't know. But those are just a few of the things that I learned, and it will probably take me a few months to kind of synthesize everything that I experienced and get it down in some sort of form for people to comprehend and hopefully get something out of. Oh, first off, I don't really consider myself a martyr. I don't know what the working definition of martyr is, but basically, I asserted my rights as a journalist that I shouldn't have to turn over my unpublished material. There's still appeals pending, so I'm still in the middle of a fight. The point that I lose my fight completely and find myself in jail, maybe at that point I'd be a martyr, but I don't particularly want to be a martyr. I want to engage in a fight, and I want to win that fight. My biggest supporters, of course, my mother, for one thing. She took her a while to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, but once she did, she was there every step of the way. A lot of the sort of off, I don't know what the best word is, but a lot of the journalists that are outside the mainstream press have really helped cover the story, and just the people of San Francisco have been amazing. I was a little bit surprised that the SPJ was able to give me so much money. I don't know about them being known as fairly conservative, but I think they realized that, here's a journalist who's standing up for this issue that's been facing many journalists for quite a while now. First there was Judith Miller that got thrown in jail. Now me, and there's others that are currently facing the same fate. And they realized that as an independent journalist, I don't have the legal backing of a major corporation, and we're very quick to help out. And in fact, the Northern California branch of the Society for Professional Journalists actually just named myself and the two reporters from the Chronicle that are facing the same fate as Journalist of the Year. So that's an incredible honor that I've received. So the Society of Professional Journalists clearly sees that I'm just part of a much larger issue, and that it's important to help me fight my fight so that other journalists don't face the same issues in the future. Uh, with each step that things go on, it starts to look more and more frightening. I realize that, my lawyers realize that, but of course we're all hopeful because these rights are established in 49 states plus the District of Columbia. There should be a federal common law that recognizes the shield of this source privilege relationship. However, the case of Brandsburg versus Hayes in 1972 kind of cut that from happening. And so we're now trying to assert that this should be case law. And it's definitely an uphill battle, but